Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BGE Cloud Podcast. It's Friday, so you know what that means. This is another episode of The Plus in Pageantry. I am very honored to have a very special guest with us today. I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself and her beautiful title. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Marneet Lewis, and I am your Miss Culture Galaxy 2025. Some would describe me as a world citizen, a food insecurity advocate, and also I'm adding to the list that I am training to become a advocate for women that are victims of sexual trafficking. And so that's going to be my next endeavor is training to be a trauma advocate.
Wow, that is impressive. I recently got my mental health first aid certification,
Oh, I love
and
that.
that kind of opened a kind of a can full of passion for me
Mm-hmm.
because I have been touched by like mental health and in my
Mm-hmm.
community and where I was working at the time. And it was just kind of nice to know that there was a community of people and scholars who were working toward, really determining the reasons behind why things are the way they are, when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
that space. So hearing that you're interested in doing the same in the realms that you are in,
Mm-hmm.
that's really awesome. Before we get too carried away, I want everybody to know that I had the honor of meeting Miss Marnie. I believe it was at Miss Oregon, USA.
Yes,
Is
in
that right?
2021, I looked it up.
So back in Miss Oregon, USA, which was an
Mhm.
absolute good time. As many of you guys know, I'm choreographer for Pageants Northwest. So I had the opportunity to volunteer my time and just kind of get these girls stage ready. So very, very happy to see you on the platform and still
Thank you
pursuing
so much.
pageantry. How did you discover your current system?
I discovered it. Actually, I've been aware of the system for about 6 years. It was actually held in the Poconos Mountain, which was very majestic and
Oh,
beautiful.
beautiful.
It's at the end of the pageant season, so it just never kind of arose where it worked with my schedule. And I said, this year I'm going for it. I absolutely love my system. Debbie Jones is just absolutely amazing. She is our international pageant director. She is so hands on. When I actually met her, she hugged me like she knew me for 1,000 years. It's very family oriented. Her husband is like the DJ, the MC is very much involved. It was just like a coming home kind of feeling. I
Nice.
found like my pageant home. It's just the way she fosters community and the way that there's a non-competitiveness that she sets the tone for her system was very attractive to me. And even though she's on the East Coast, she finds appearances and volunteer opportunities for me here in Portland, Oregon. She's very hands on. And part of our requirement in our contract is to do at least 2 appearances a month. And so when you talk about being a working queen, that is exactly what she's looking for. That is the standard that has been set. And that is something that is kind of a moral obligation that I feel being a title holder is to actually be out in the community with high heels on the ground. And so the fact that that was a requirement was very attractive to me.
Yeah, that's actually really, really cool. I appreciate a contract that
Mhm.
makes it very, very clear what's expected of your queens and
Yes.
how they should, treat the world, as they're
Mhm.
out and working and everything. So I'm glad that you're an actionable queen out in your
Thank you.
community. Congratulations. And then,
Thank you so much.
what are the areas of competition for your system?
Yes, so I competed in the international system, and then later on, I will talk about the state system that we have. So I competed for Miss Culture Galaxy, and so of course we have a lovely interview. Then you also have what they would call like state wear or your costume. I'm kind of hesitant to use those words because I actually wore my native regalia. And so that was something that was near and dear to my heart. And I'm glad I was able to display my culture in that regard. Then you can wear athletic clothing or swimsuit. And I chose to be daring and wear a swimsuit. And then also there was an evening gown competition. But I just love this system so much because as someone that's multi-ethnic, I'm African American, Native American, my family is from the Creek Nation, and I'm also of Jewish descent. It's important for me to be involved in a pageant system that embraces all of who I am. And I just love competing in international systems because I get to showcase all of my culture, all of who I am, and what's near and dear to me. So it's just a wonderful system. Also, I think this is so ingenious that they do this. So the pageant is for a weekend. The first day, of course, we have meet and greets. We had a wonderful pajama party and pizza party where we got to meet all the delegates, and that was fun. I'll have to circle back around to that. But the first day of actual competition is the Miss Culture Galaxy system. So from toddlers and all that stuff to some of the seasoned ladies, there was an age division for everyone. So that's the first day of competition. Then the second day of competition is for American Nations pageant. And so it's the same categories. The only difference is that it is a state wear instead of like international costume per
Gotcha.
se.
Okay.
And then for that, it is athletic wear only for that fitness portion. And so I love that because you can enter both pageants.
Oh, nice.
Both pageants, and me and you both know as well seasoned competitors, you know you already have your head in the game, you already have the wardrobe, you're already, ready for war per se. So you maybe didn't do too well in Culture Galaxy. If you've entered both pageants, you're going to turn around within hours and compete in American Nation.
Yeah, I love
It's
systems.
awesome.
I'm seeing that a lot of systems that are growing in
Mhm.
popularity are those that have multiple
Yes,
opportunities to either compete or are at the forefront of representation, having a division for everyone. So you
yes,
belonging to a
yes,
system that's doing both is
yes,
really incredible. So, but yeah,
yes.
I'm noticing that trending in the pageant space. Um, Now, how long have you been pursuing pageantry?
So I've been involved with pageantry for about 25 years now. It's so odd to think about that. I know you've been around, we all know each other
Yeah.
when you get to a certain level. So I know you've been around on the scene for quite some time too. I just entered pageantry because I was intrigued. I remember my father was like flipping through the channels when I was a young girl, and we just happened to stop on Miss America. And I just remember looking at the women and I just thought they were so poised and elegant. And of course, I didn't know what a T stance was. This is when they were shouting out their states. And I'm just like, wow, look at that. It was never about beauty for me. It was never about beauty. Both my parents are college educators, and I just, that was not prized in our household, my outward appearance at all. And so I just never thought of pageantry purely for the aesthetics and the appearance of it all. I grew up seeing my mother, who was drop dead gorgeous. And so she never prized her appearance. It wasn't, a big priority in our household. So for me, pageantry came down to being refined, being a lady, being elegant, being involved in your community. As you and I both know, most of the time it doesn't really come down to your looks. That's
Mm.
not what makes you an actual title holder or winner. There's a lot of other facets that get calculated into that. So I was just a young girl, and like most people, you see Miss America on TV, and you're like, I want to be involved in that. What is this thing?
Yeah, I have a similar story. I used to watch pageants with my grandmother growing up, and we are a voluptuous family.
Mm,
So our critique would be that the girls were so small. You know,
mhm,
I
mhm,
would hear my family members say, "Oh, I wish there was somebody who looked like us up there." You
mhm,
know, so it was kind of something I put off, and I went on and was participating in cheerleading and drill team
mhm.
and everything else but pageantry.
Mhm.
And then I graduated high school and was like, okay, maybe now it's time to give it a shot. And
Mm-hmm.
I jumped headfirst. I signed up for Miss Washington USA. That was my very first pageant. And I've been around since for what, 12 years now.
Oh
And
wow.
like you said, the pageant community here in the Pacific Northwest is that big.
Exactly.
So so you're bound to cross paths with someone. And I was actually just speaking with the queen yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I told her or we were talking and it was just kind of like, you have to be kind in this space. Like you should
Yes.
be kind, period. But
Mm-hmm.
the turnaround is so quick. She and I had a mutual pageant friend, and that person was trying to get us to connect because we both have body positive platforms.
Oh, I
And she was
love
like,
it.
you guys have to connect, you have to get together. And the timing just never panned out.
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening is she was my judge at a state pageant. We hadn't met, we hadn't even spoken, just like through our mutual friend. We
Mm-hmm.
were following each other on social media. And yeah, I walked into the judge's room to interview, and she was
Mm-hmm.
my judge. So
Wow.
we went through the interview, and then, we met, I think,
Mm-hmm.
officially a couple weeks later. But, you gotta, ladies.
Right. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's a small community. We all know each other. We all go to the same vendors. Be kind. I
Yes,
should be
definitely.
anyway, but just be cognizant of that.
And we all talk,
Oh
so
yeah.
like I don't want anybody to have any kind of misconception
Mm-hmm.
that if you know somebody that doesn't know somebody else, that your name hasn't come up in conversation.
Sure.
Hopefully it stayed
Mm-hmm.
kind, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I've been in conversations that I've had to redirect, and I think that's just being a woman in a woman filled space.
Yes. Yes.
So I definitely appreciate having the opportunity to be a curvy representative in the plus size space
Yay!
in the Pacific Northwest. So that's great.
Yes. You're a
Um,
trailblazer.
Now, are you a full time pageant queen or do you have a day job?
Yes, I do have a day job. So, by trade, I am a flight attendant. After I earned my master's degree and my teaching certificate, I thought to myself, I want to actually have fun in life. And because I'd always been a full time student, and I was a hostess at a restaurant, and while I was earning my master's degree, and one of the patrons was like, "Everyone loves you here. You'd be such a great flight attendant." She was a former flight attendant. I was like, "Flight attendant? I don't know anyone that's been a flight attendant. No one in my family. That doesn't, seem of interest to me." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Thanks for the compliment." And just kind of went about my day. And then once I graduated with my master's degree and teaching certificate, I looked into it and I applied. And it has been a whirlwind ever since.
I
It
believe it.
just supposed to be an experiment. Very addicting. It's such a fast paced life. It's like no other job. Every day is different. Every report time is different. The crew, the airports, the hotels. I mean, it's like no other industry. So I've been very blessed to have had a very illustrious career.
Yeah, years ago, I think I was like 22 or 23.
Mhm.
I interviewed with Delta.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, totally. And I loved it. I didn't get the memo that at the interview you were supposed to like dress like a flight attendant. So I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, I was still cute because, I got
Mhm.
pageant interview
Oh
experience.
yeah,
So, I was
definitely.
put together. She
Right.
wasn't
Oh, I
regular,
know.
y'all.
You're polished. I know.
I'm quite polished, but I got to the point where they were like, okay, these are what the station assignments are going to be. I didn't realize that you couldn't choose.
Yes.
So I was like, oh no, my mom is in Seattle.
Right.
So I don't. And then
Right.
they were like, oh, okay, well, that's easy. How many languages do you speak? And I was like, what do you, languages with an S? Like multiple?
Right.
So yeah, needless to say, that did not work out for me. And I was a queen with a day job as well. When I was
Mhm.
competing, I was in property management. But I recently, in June, opened the boutique. I opened the Empress Suite, and that's where we are. So if you need a gown, girl, come see
I was
me.
gonna say congratulations.
Thank you.
Remember back in 2021, we met when you were crowning your successor.
At USOA.
Yes, I was a judge, and that's when I first originally met you. I remember you even talking then about opening a boutique. So, congratulations! I'm so proud of you. I cannot wait to patronize your boutique. I think it's so awesome, and people don't realize here in the Pacific Northwest, in terms of pageantry, we are so behind, and not by choice. We just have such a lack of coaches and boutiques and photographers and makeup artists. I mean, just anything revolving around pageantry. We unfortunately don't have a lot of that. That's not ingrained in the
Yeah.
versus somewhere in the South.
Well,
We're,
yeah, I'm just like, eventually, I want this to be big. I want Henry's Cloud 9 level, Joanne's down in Tennessee. I
uh,
want a really big luxury experience
mhm.
without having to take on bridal.
Oh,
That
I see.
that's the goal. Um,
Okay.
so that's the thing here in Washington and Oregon. I think it's true. You have
Gotcha.
bridal shops that have like a
Mhm.
corner of prom
Mhm.
pageant.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I just really want to flip that model on its head. So I want a prom pageant shop, and maybe I have a corner of bridal. But I really want to work with a black bridal designer. If and when
Wow.
I do carry bridal,
Mhm.
um, because I think black designers are trailblazing in the space
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
aren't getting the recognition. So I definitely want to do that eventually when I'm in a position to grow the business. But one
You're
thing
so
that I
amazing.
appreciate about Queens here in the Pacific Northwest
Mhm.
is, even without the resources at our fingertips, the queens out this way are hustlers,
Exactly. I was going to
like,
use that exact.
yeah, like definitely doing whatever it takes to get
Mhm.
it done.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because our community is so small and intimate, we have the
Mhm.
opportunity to work together and collaborate a little bit
Yes.
easier, I feel,
Yes.
than
I agree.
other queens. But if you're trying to do something like revolutionary with pageantry here,
Mhm.
you might hit a snag or two.
Yeah, it's just it's so funny how in different regions what's popular and what's so normal, and especially even on an international level, like pageantry is so ingrained in other cultures. It's just as big as the World Cup or the Super
Yes.
Bowl to them, and it's like here in the States, it's just not as popular. It is growing, and I think with the visibility of like media and pageant girls being more relatable to people, it is getting better. But I'm sure, like when you wear your crown and sash and you're out and about, it's very interesting who gravitates towards you. I know a lot of international folks come up to me versus Americans because in their country they get pageantry and they get it's beyond the beauty, and you're working with nonprofit organizations, you have your own platform, you're a woman that is filled with self-determination, and you have a goal in life. And I just really wish people would understand the sport better. And I am using the word sport because that's what it is.
That is what it is.
And if it was just about beauty, then every model could be a title holder. But they're not. It's not about beauty. That's such a small fraction of what we do and what the criteria is. And I have judged numerous pageants. I've had the privilege of doing that. And it's just something about the title holder that just captures your heart. There's something different about her. She's passionate. She has goals. They're attainable. She has action items. So it's almost like a part of my pageant journey has been dispelling like all of these myths about pageantry.
Yes,
I think that's
I
a large part
agree.
of it. And especially being a woman of color.
I think like that part, especially here, again,
Mhm.
competing in the Pacific Northwest, as a woman of color,
Mhm.
is something that is growing in popularity. But I know when
Yes.
I started, and I'm assuming when you started, it was
Mhm.
definitely something few and far between. You
Yes.
know, um, and one thing that I've always enjoyed and always taken the time to do is stop for little girls, you know,
Yes.
no matter where I'm going, if hopefully I'm on time, because that's what a queen should be.
We're
But, you
busy.
know, but
Yeah.
even if I'm slightly delayed, I always
Mhm.
take the opportunity to stop and answer little girls' questions,
Yes.
because I think it's important for that bit of representation. They say you can't be
Very
what you
much.
don't see, which
Mm.
many of us have dispelled over the years, right? Because we've
Hmm.
taken charge and we've decided that we
Yes.
were going to be the people who were going to be at the forefront of this, and we
Yes.
were going to be that change that we wanted to see, right?
Yes.
But for a lot of people, it's hard for them to imagine what pageantry is supposed to be about because mostly they
Yes.
only see it on TV.
Yes.
So, like, even my boyfriend, for example,
Mhm.
when we met, he told me he didn't think that pageants were real. Like, he thought it was
Oh.
like just for television, just for entertainment.
Hmm.
So within the first 6 months that we were together, he went to 5 pageants, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, three that I choreographed and two that I competed in. So, so
Wow. We like
yeah,
him.
yeah, we're gonna keep him. We're gonna keep him. But
We like him.
he was so just kind of blown away about the
Mhm.
production aspect of it and
Oh
how many
wow.
moving parts that takes. And then
Hmm.
when I competed, he was definitely like, "Oh my gosh, the nerves. My hands were sweating. Like I
Oh,
don't know how to do this."
what a sweetheart.
So, oh yeah,
And then also, I have to give you your roses. That phrase is being used quite a bit for your production and what you did at Miss Oregon USA. You were absolutely amazing. Love your mom, sweetest lady ever. And as someone that has dyslexia, I was diagnosed in the third grade. I don't think people realize in today's society you have to think about everyone like collectively. And sometimes I do have issues with my right and my left, and choreography is not my friend. Opening number is not my strong suit. And so the way that you broke it down, and you were so kind, and you showed me several times. Your mom showed me as well. It just made it more accessible for people. And so I really appreciate that about you. And you were just so good natured. And I just think you're a doll, as you already know. I
thank
think
you.
you're
Thank you
awesome.
so much. I'll have
Yeah.
to tell my mom. She's in California right now, but she'll be back this weekend. I'm
Yeah.
making her, she's making me a lasagna for my birthday.
What?
Um, yeah, my birthday's on Tuesday. So this
Happy
weekend
early
she's
birthday.
gonna, oh, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So this weekend she's gonna make me a lasagna because she hasn't, I got
Ooh.
mad at her because she made one and she didn't bring me any, she didn't save me
Oh.
any,
Oh
nothing.
no.
You know, I was
She
like,
sent me a
okay,
plate.
nothing,
Oh, okay.
nothing.
Oh,
I got,
okay,
I got a,
mom.
I got a text picture of the lasagna.
Unless you're gonna share it, I don't want to know that it exists.
I
Like,
never had to know. I never had to know. So yes, I requested one for my birthday, but I
I love
love
it.
working with her.
Yeah, she's
Um,
awesome.
she didn't know anything about pageantry until I got involved,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been a good, let's say she's been a good sport. So it's become
Right.
it's
We drag
become
our moms along. We're like, we're doing this pageant, this. We need this, and that. It's
absolutely,
a team. People
yeah.
have no idea.
There's a lot that goes on.
Preparation.
So when you start getting up there, folks, and you're like
Mm-hmm.
up in the big leagues, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you need a team. You
Yes.
need a your circle, right? Your family, your
Mm-hmm.
home, people that are
Yes.
always going to, be on your side but tell you the truth, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's important. But you need PR.
Yes.
You need people, make you need advisors, styling,
Yes.
coaching.
Yes.
And I've always been very transparent on my
Mhm.
platform. I was very anti-coaching when I first started.
Me too.
When I first started, I was like, I don't need a coach. They say be yourself. How is anyone
Right.
going to teach me how to be me? You know,
Yes.
and
Oh, I'm with you.
we've
Yes.
all been there.
Yes.
But consulting with somebody that can just help you fine tune,
Mm-hmm.
the skills that you need to progress in this sport,
Mm-hmm.
because that
Mm-hmm.
indeed is what it is.
Yes,
It's
yes.
very, very, very important. Collaboration in this space is very important. And
I
you know,
agree.
there's a little bit of politics. You have to play a little bit of the game
Yes.
in order to move forward. So I think it's really, really cool experiences with each other, and just,
Hmm.
you know, be able to carry that with us as we continue to kind of run in the same circles.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely.
Now, when were you crowned?
I was proud. Oh, can I go back for a moment?
Yes.
The whole coaching thing. I was right there with you. Like I remember my first pageant, and I'm like, I can do this. I'm involved in the community. I think even at that point, I had received, humbly, I say this, Youth Volunteer of the Year award, and I was in the community. I was on the youth advisory boards, and this and that. And I'm like, I'm involved. This is what they're looking for. Someone that cares about their community. But I will say, I am not the best at presenting myself on stage. And what I mean by that is the walking patterns, being energetic and things of that nature. So this last year or so, I was like, I really do need a coach for the presentation, because being a title holder is the entire package. And
Yes.
that's why you have different percentages for different phases of the competition. One girl might do really well in interview, hence me, and then their walking's not that great, and then vice versa. And so that's also something very important that people need to look at when they're looking to enter a competition. What is your strong suit? What is something that you're not the best at that you want to work on? I'm trying to not say the word weak, that you might be weak in that area, and see what plays to your strengths. If you're not good in interview, don't enter a pageant where 50% of it is interview. I mean, the interview percentages are getting higher and higher. I don't know if you've noticed that for pageants. Or me, I'm a pretty private person. If it wasn't for pageantry, I wouldn't probably have any social media. I don't need to be in a pageant where 25% is your social media engagement. So I think people really need to figure out what works for them. Of course, you can work on your skills and fine tune them. That's not what I mean. But what are you naturally good at, and play into that for pageants. But yes, I have to shout out my pageant coach, Stacy, as well as Shauna. They've been amazing in working with me for walking. Again, it goes back to the dyslexia. I'm like, wait, I do what on what side of the stage? And so working through that, this is like my real life as someone with dyslexia. How do I walk on stage?
Yeah.
What are my angles? Like it is difficult for me. And so I think it is important to have coaches in that regard. So yes, regarding this pageant, I'm sorry, I kind of segued
No,
to
you're fine. That was perfect.
what did you ask me? I knew this was going to happen.
Oh, I asked you when were you crowned, but
Oh, yes.
now I want to bounce off of what you just said, because you have
Okay,
some
let's do it.
really, really key points there.
Yes.
So when you have kind of like, when you come from a family background that isn't used to entertainment or the beauty space,
Right.
right?
Yes.
A
Yes.
coach can also help you navigate that, because
Mm-hmm.
it's so new to you. I know my first year at Miss Washington USA,
Mm-hmm.
I did not know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was doing. I came in really confident. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
personally have never struggled with body image. So even though
Mm-hmm.
I was a curvier body on stage,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't something that brought me down or, you
Mm-hmm.
know, got to me in any way.
Good for you.
But I'd be blind not to notice it, right?
Sure.
But this is me, like personality, conversational, like the
Mm-hmm.
interview portion, I knew wasn't going to be a problem. Uh, so I wasn't really worried about that, but I
Mm-hmm.
did spend a lot of time in my heels before that pageant. I was
Yep.
like, I'm young. I'm going to slap these heels on and it's going to work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not
Mm-hmm.
the case. It was like kind of, I learned a lot through pageantry, through trial and error. But
Yes.
if you want to
Yes.
save yourself some time,
Good
consult
money.
a coach. Just consult a coach.
Oh my
But
God, it's
like you said,
hilarious.
they are in limited supply out this way, but a lot of
Yes.
coaches are available
Yes, they are.
virtually. But one thing that you have to do before you consult a coach, because everyone's
Mm-hmm.
temperament is a little different,
Yes.
you need to spend some mirror time and actually look at
Mm-hmm.
yourself. and prepare yourself for some critique, because
Exactly.
that's a part of their job. They're not trying to tear you down or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but they do, some of them use a little bit of tough love to steer
Mm-hmm.
you in the right direction to make sure you're at a pageant that's actually going to benefit you and you would be able to benefit
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love talking to you. All these things just like popped into.
it.
I'm old school pageantry where you wore even pants in the very beginning for the interview suit. Then it went to skirts, but you had to wear stockings. That's how long I've been competing. You had to wear nylons, you had to wear stockings. And then back then it was the flesh colored, we'll talk
Mhm.
about that in a minute, the flesh colored shoes or clear shoes. But then that trend faded out. And then all of a sudden it's just like fashion or anything else. Things come and go in pageantry. And so when I kind of re-entered, I'm like, oh, the clear shoes are back?
Yeah.
Shoes are back. Like, oh wow, this is interesting. And I'm so grateful things have just made a change in the fashion world, because now women like us are able to get shoes that are actually truly flesh colored for us.
Absolutely.
I still have my old, what is it, tippy top Chinese laundry, and they never quite looked right. They were the only new shoe at the time, that kind of, tan color. And so things are just getting a lot better. So I think pageantry is fun, and finding the right coach and the right fit is something that does take time and energy and resources. But it can be really worthwhile, because you're just viewing yourself almost from, how do I say, like a street level or pedestrian level, just like everyday life is what I mean,
Right.
versus on stage. You're still you, but it's just like a different facet of you. And so it takes a different level of discipline and perseverance and just different abilities. And so I think sometimes people don't understand the difference. I can even say from my first pageant, I went into the interview room, and one of the judges, he was like the Simon Cowell for the
Mm.
judging
He's supposed to be
panel.
the tough judge.
Exactly. And so he had asked me, like, who won the state championship for baseball or something like that. What? I'm supposed to know this? Well, yeah, you are, because you're going to be representing this state or this country or whatever. You should know these things. And I did know the answer. And never lie in interviews. Just say, that's a great question. I'll have to find out the answer. I don't know. Don't fib for stuff like that. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? When I come back to this pageant next year, I'm going to win best interview. And I think it's so important to set your own personal goals in pageantry, because there's only going to be one winner at
Yeah.
the end of the day. So if you can reach a personal goal that is satisfactory to you, I think that's really important. So I'm very proud to say that next year I won Best Interview and I won the Community Service Award. Thank you. And that was really important to me. And looking back at it, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I'm involved in the community and I've gotten all these awards and I care about people and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but you're not dressed appropriately for the job. You don't know how to walk appropriately, just, whatever. So I think women should enter pageantry for all the right reasons. I think you can gain so many skills. Just in my own personal life, I was one of the youngest to ever be accepted into my master's program.
Come
So I
on.
graduated with my undergrad. I graduated in the winter term, so I only had the winter break, and I went immediately to my master's program. So I'd already
Oh my
interviewed,
gosh.
already been accepted, the whole 9 yards. They literally were only waiting for my transcripts to officially accept me. I didn't know till months later in my master's program I had been one of the youngest ever accepted. That's because of pageantry. I had been used to interviewing. I'd used to being on the spot. I'd been used to, criticism and things of that nature. So there are transferable skills from this sport. And I really wish that would be highlighted more. When people ask me about pageantry or find out I'm involved, it always seems like they're kind of searching for like a catty story or something negative. Yes, those things do happen like any sport, but the good totally outweighs the bad. I do want to go back to my pageant. I won the first week of August. Yay! In the Poconos Mountains. Yay! Thank you. Absolutely amazing. And when I tell you, it was just a surreal experience. It was, I can't even describe it. It's like the judges saw me, like saw my
Yeah.
soul. Like they actually saw me. And I just can't even describe that feeling, but just everything fell into place. The girls, women, other delegates were just absolutely amazing. And one of my favorite things is hanging out with the younger delegates because I don't have any,
Yes.
I'm not married, I don't have any children. I'm like, oh, come here, I wish you were mine, kind of thing. And I just love hanging out with the teens and the juniors. They were such sweet girls. And there was a contestant, she's been competing for a couple of years at the pageant, who happens to be deaf. And I had won Miss Culture Galaxy. I'm in the audience and she's competing for American Nations. And when I tell you, I could have cried when everyone rose their hand and then started shaking for the clapping for her on stage. I could have cried.
Oh,
I remember thinking, this is what the world should be like. The
yes.
world should be with diverse people, with accessibility, with equality. And I was just so moved. And our director is so awesome. She created a title for her for Miss Deaf America. And so she's going out in the deaf community and doing awesome and amazing things. And you know, that's what pageantry is about reaching populations you never would have reached before, and inclusion. And I just remember just sitting there like, this is my pageant family. Like this is where I belong. This is what the world should actually be like, where you're accepting people for themselves and meeting people where they're at. It was the whole room, the back row, so I could see everyone. Everyone had their hand raised. Everyone was clapping for her. It
I
was
think
very,
that's something, I think you're right. Those are the moments that need to be highlighted in this space
yes.
because they're often overshadowed by, the kerfuffles, especially at some of our larger pageant systems. Um,
Yes.
so I think, as this sport continues to become more accessible and
Yes.
more relatable, I think
Mm-hmm.
you'll start to see people actually getting to see all of the good that can potentially come of pageantry.
Yes.
Um, and I know, like, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm African American. um,
I thought that was a really good tan. I was going to ask you what
it could
bronzer
have
you
been. It
used.
totally could have been. But in our community, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like opportunities like this keep a lot of us kind of are out of reach for a lot of us because of the
Yes.
financial aspect. Like
Yes.
it
Yes.
is a investment.
Yes. Can you say
Without
that again, please, for the people in the back?
it is an investment. I'm going to have
Thank you.
t-shirts made and I'm going to have like a big thing of crowns across the top and on the back it's just going to say it is an investment. But it's an investment
Woo!
and right period.
I don't even want to think about it.
But you know, I hope that one day like the Empress Suite can provide scholarships for young women to compete in pageants to help with the cost,
Mm-hmm.
because it's you can make so many amazing connections through this
Yes.
sport. I know that David and Maureen have written letters of recommendations for their girls
Yes, they're awesome.
for
Yep.
school, for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They've had opportunities that come up. Even when I wasn't competing with Miss Washington USA,
Mm-hmm.
David and Maureen had an opportunity come up that looked like it would fit me, and they reached out. So I think it's really important to get in these spaces that are so supportive.
Mm-hmm.
I even with my platform, actually backtrack. Even with opening the boutique,
Mm-hmm.
Maureen was very kind to help me with the grand opening, and then Jennifer Lloyd came in and she did free headshots on
I
grand
wanted
opening
to.
day. Oh my gosh. If
Sorry.
you haven't shot with Jennifer, shoot with Jennifer. Okay? I
I
showed
wanted
up
to
to
so
my
bad.
I've shot with her twice now.
Oh
I had to
wow.
think about that. I've shot with her twice now, and she did my natural curly hair. Like, she did my
Really?
natural curly hair. She did my makeup, everything. And was like, wasn't scared of it, wasn't uncertain about it at all.
Wow.
Like, I think the last shoot I actually showed up and a part of my hair was still wet, and she still was
Mm-hmm.
able to like help me manage. So like I was like, and the first time I hope I didn't offend her, but the first time, I came prepared. Being in this
Right.
industry for as long as I
This is a
have,
whole nother
I
discussion. Yes.
right, like I brought my own makeup. Like I was
Yep.
like,
Yep.
if
Definitely. Yes.
just in case
Yep.
you don't have my shade, like I
Yes.
have it,
Yep.
you know.
And that's what we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that at this point
Mm-hmm.
there are people who can't, do darker complexions, deeper
Mm-hmm.
complexions,
Mm-hmm.
or handle textured hair. But Jennifer's not one of them. She definitely can and did.
Yay!
And yeah, I can definitely vouch for her work, just
I
like
love that.
super professional, um, and was just really, really amazing. So
I love that.
can't nobody say anything cross about Mrs. Jennifer Lloyd to me. That's my girl.
I love it.
Um,
I love it. You're so
I've also
adorable. I love it.
I've also had like I have a really good relationship with Believe Photography with Chris, who's taken
Oh,
a numerous number of my headshots
okay,
over the
great.
years. Yeah. Oh, I'll we drive. Like I've dragged my
It,
boyfriend down there twice.
yep. And that's what we
Um,
have to do.
you got to do what you got to do. But yeah,
Mhm.
he's been really great, and I know a lot of
Oh,
times
wonderful.
he partners for hair and makeup. He'll partner with like Amanda,
Oh,
and
wow.
Natalie. Natalie, former Miss Oregon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tennyson, but I think she just
Okay.
got married. Natalie, she has never done my makeup, but I have seen her do
Mhm.
deeper complexions, so I
Oh,
can vouch
wow.
for Natalie. And Amanda has done
Yay.
my makeup a couple times, so
Okay. There's hope. There's
yeah,
hope out there. I love this. We
yeah.
love
There's, but
good
we have
recommendations.
to
We
have
love
these
referrals.
conversations. We have to
Exactly.
get together.
Exactly.
We have to share what we know. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely I love a lot of the coaches and things, like even the ones I haven't worked with, like the ladies from the
Mhm.
Starshine studio
Yes.
are really, really great. Um, we love them. And they're always really nice to me when I see them out. So
I love you. Because I remember I was like, oh, I'm going to thank you for being so kind with my schedule and everything. I was like, I'm going to do an interview with her. I just have to, confirm. And they're like, oh, we love her. And Shauna and Stacey were going on and on about you. See, because we're at this level in the game, we all know each other. So, of course, they
yes.
know who you are. Oh, they just love you. If they could eat you up,
Yeah.
they would.
I was like, they're my girls over at Starshine. I love me some Starshine, y'all. I
I
love the Starshine
know.
girls.
Yeah,
They
it's
all show
they
up in their
definitely took us to the next
jackets.
level. Yeah, I
I want to
know.
I want an honorary like Starshine jacket.
Of course, we'll have to make
Um,
sure you get one.
I
Yes, and
but you know,
Stacy, please, I'm sorry, it's overlapping. I'm listening.
oh no, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, talking about coaches and like their temperament. Stacy, I love her. She is no nonsense. She is no nonsense,
You
and that's
gotta be.
life. And she's just
You
like, no,
have to be.
no. I'm not going with this outfit. No, it's like everything I had from like just a few years ago from competing. She's like, nope, I don't like the color. No, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like that. But she knows what she is talking about because she definitely took me to the next level. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and that's how you should feel after you work with someone. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've had I've had some really, really great coaching experiences, and I've had a couple not so nice ones. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had a pageant coach straight up tell me I was getting ready for Miss Washington USA, and they were like, "Baby, there's never going to be a plus size Miss Washington USA." And I was like, "Then why do you continue to take my money?"
Oh. What's their address? Where did we ride at dawn? Who said this? No, wait,
Yeah,
dawn, sweetie. What? What? See, I'm so
yeah, child.
pageants out there. There's more diversity. Representation is important. It is important for girls to see women like us. I'm not small either. I'm curvy, and I've had my own weight loss journey. It's so important. And I was at a powwow recently. I'm part indigenous. My family's from the Creek Nation, and I'm heavily involved in the Native American community. And I always go to powwows, have been a part of the Grand Entry, which is a huge honor in our culture to walk with the veterans and the flags and be a part of the smudging. Huge, huge honor. And I've had the privilege of doing that a few times at different powwows. And I remember this girl came up to me and she was telling me she had competed in a pageant because of me. She just seen me come to the powwows over the years.
I love that.
Marginalized group, indigenous people, and pageantry.
Oh, yeah.
And also mainstream pageantry. We have our own pageant systems. And please know for the viewers out there, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a pageant for every girl. You have like festivals, you have different parades, different organizations have pageants and different ethnicities. And that's important for representation as well. And back in the day, women of color couldn't compete in mainstream pageants. So these other pageants had to be created so we could compete.
So that we could get that experience. I think that like having different cultural pageants is really, really important.
Yes.
Especially maybe, you're just starting out in the space and
Yes.
there's nothing like being celebrated by your people.
Exactly.
Like you could go up and you could win Miss USA,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn around years later and you could go to say African American pageant and do
Mm-hmm.
really well there. Nobody cheers for you like your people cheer for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you weren't finished, so I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, I love this. We're just like talking like we're on the phone. I've competed in numerous Native pageants as well as African American pageants. I did Miss Black USA, and me and you, because of our illustrious history of pageantry, it's like, wait, what pageant was that? What year was that? What title did I have? And I'm like, I don't kind of hesitant to say the pageant system because I've competed in so many of them. But I think that's also, great, and those should be celebrated and huge wins as well. And it's just a different feeling when you win that kind of pageant. It just hits home a little bit more for me, and it's more like hopeful. But I don't want people to shy away from mainstream pageants because things are getting so much better. It's getting so much better. And I love that there's more diversity with the increase ages for pageants, because back in the day when me and you were competing 20, 22, 23, 24, you were done. You were aged out. There was no pageant to go to. Now it's all these pageants for us that still want to be in the game, still wanting to compete, still wanting to do amazing things and have great platforms and want to showcase that. So I think pageantry is doing a lot better. It's taking a turn for the better. I just think it's amazing. And I compete for numerous reasons, but one of them is it makes me the best me. When I'm competing for a pageant, and I'm sure you can attest to this, you have the best diet, the best workout plan. You're watching news, you're reading newspapers, you're reading articles. I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm volunteering as I normally do, but just, increase that a little bit. I'm just like the best Marneet possible. I am well-rounded. I am, zoned in, and I'm just the best. And also in life, it's nice to have something to look forward to.
Yes.
That's another reason I love pageantry. But the main reason I compete in pageantry is for my platform. In August, I had my anniversary. So I've been volunteering for 21 years for the Oregon Food Bank. And so, thank you. That's something I'm very passionate about, alleviating food insecurity and its root causes. And I volunteer for them in many capacities in their action center. When they did have the program for the community ambassadors, I was selected as one of the ambassadors. Any fundraisers they have or galas or anything like that, anything the Oregon Food Bank needs, I'm there. And I just think it's just such a basic level of humanity where everyone can understand it and rally behind it. So my platform is very unique in that regard. It's palatable to people, and who could argue, yes, people deserve to have accessibility to food and food that is culturally appropriate for them. One thing that I love about the Oregon Food Bank and when I'm volunteering at pantries and whatnot is we actually talk to our guests, our clients. What food do you like? What is your living situation? Do you have a refrigerator? Do you have a microwave? Do you have a can opener? You just can't hand someone a box of food and say, you're lucky to have this. That's a very old model for food pantries and food banks. So it's important to talk to the people and ask. I remember I was working with some people that were experiencing houselessness, and we were like at the time giving them apples. And their feedback was, we can't actually eat apples. A lot of people that are experiencing homelessness don't have the best dental hygiene. They physically cannot eat apples. So we should not be giving them things that they can't actually use. So then we switched over to bananas at one point, and then the feedback was, well, these get smushed in our backpacks or in our luggage. It's not realistic for us to be mobile because most of them are walking for miles and miles. People would be astonished how much people that are homeless end up walking. So then eventually we started giving oranges and they loved it. It was like, you know, kind of concealed, loved the aroma of the oranges. So that's one thing that I just love about the Oregon Food Bank. They meet people where they're at, and you actually have to talk to your guest and the clientele to serve them properly. Also, people that are experiencing homelessness do have dietary restrictions, whether it's religious, whether they have celiac disease or high blood pressure or whatever the case may be. You actually have to speak to these people. You actually need to engage with them. But when I volunteer, just side note, I don't wear makeup. I don't have my crown and sash. I'm a volunteer. I'm just there to help. I don't need the limelight or anything like that. And my family, we've been volunteering for ages at St. Francis Dining Hall. I have never taken pictures there. I mean, these are folks coming right off.
Can't get on the like. I have such a love-hate relationship with social media, especially as a pageant competitor. And
Yes,
a lot of people have come forward and been like, I just don't feel comfortable. Like, these
yeah,
are a lot of people who are experiencing some of the hardest times in their lives. And the
exactly,
last thing I want to do is, put a camera in their face. And for
exactly,
what? You know?
exactly.
So I have a hard time when I'm out in the community or I'm volunteering, remembering to even think about taking a photo,
That's
to
deep.
commemorate it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is more my gift, like getting people
Right.
together, curating conversations.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I don't ever want anybody to come across and be like, "Oh, Amber's not doing anything." When reality, I challenge myself to do monthly things and try to do
Oh.
whatever I can to give back.
Mm-hmm.
My boutique for my birthday. I'm going to be How old am I turning, Marneet? I'm going to be 32 on my birthday on Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
I
Have
found my
your
first gray
lasagna,
hair.
live your best life. I'm sorry.
Right. I found my first gray hair a couple of
Oh,
weeks ago.
stop it.
No, I did, but it's great. It's fine.
I love
I'm
it.
not upset about it.
Oh, good.
I told the internet, I said, since I've got a gray hair in comic books, gray and white haired black folks tend to be magical. So
Okay, we like.
maybe I'm getting my superpowers. But
I
uh
love it.
but
You're so funny.
when I volunteer, I don't wear makeup. Like,
Yep.
I don't. My boutique, in order to try to give back, because I had a
Mm,
couple of gals come in looking at dresses for homecoming,
okay.
and I remember being there. I remember,
Mhm.
looking for a dress that was above a size 6, and
Mhm.
trying to find something that my mom would be able to afford, since
Mhm.
I had
Mhm.
already stretched her wallet doing cheerleading and
Mhm.
everything else,
Oh,
trying to
yes.
fit it
Mhm.
into the budget. So on my birthday at the boutique, I'll be offering 32% off on our website. Since
Oh,
I'm
that's very
turning
generous.
32, I thought it would be
That's
cute to do
very
32%.
generous.
Honey, oh, but I am excited to do it, and hopefully, that kind of alleviates some pressure on some of the girlies who are shopping for homecoming. Um,
Aw.
but there was
Good
a
particle.
bit Right. There was a bit that you said about your culture having
Yes.
like a part of your Native American experience being
Yes.
present and being present in those spaces.
Mhm.
Now, growing up is learning that a lot of what Disney has told us is not real. When I was a little girl, okay,
Hmm.
when I was a little girl, I thought I was Pocahontas reincarnated.
I
Okay,
love it.
I loved the cartoon. I hated the love
Hmm.
story. Okay, because I
Hmm.
was like, this don't even make no sense. Do you see Coco? He is fine. Like, why would she not want to be with that? So like, so the love story portion of it wasn't believable. But like
Hmm.
when I used to get my hair pressed, I would literally stalk the back of the couches, like crawling around like she was in the
Oh my
tree in the movie.
gosh.
And I met someone when I moved here to
Hmm.
Washington because I grew up in Texas.
I
So when
didn't
I
even
moved
know.
here to Washington, I met someone who lived on a reservation here.
Hmm.
And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, I love Pocahontas. And they were like, that is so offensive. And I was like, but wait, because Disney told me, and they were like, that's like a real person. And I was like, no, no, I didn't. Educate me. And ever since then, I am doubling down on that being my favorite Disney queen just because of how persevering of a story she had. She had such a tragic life. Um,
Hmm.
and I've used that in situations where I've been speaking publicly just
Oh.
to put a light on how much pressure is put on a woman
Hmm.
just to be a woman, no matter the space, no matter the time,
Mm. Mm.
and how easy it is for others to come
Hmm.
in and just broad stroke our experience,
This is
sprinkle a
true.
little glitter on it, and make it something else. And
Hmm.
I'm tying that back into pageantry in that I think that's something that happens in this space.
Hmm.
We're often painted as ditzy or dumb,
Yes. Yes.
where
Yes.
the pageant community has been where I have met some of the smartest, and that's book smart
Yes.
and street smart, some of the
Yes.
smartest, most capable, most determined, most
Yes. Yes.
inspiring women
Yes.
I've met through this sport. And
Hmm.
they've come from all types of different backgrounds. And
Hmm.
even those who have experienced great trauma in their life have decided to pick that up and use
Hmm.
that as a stepping stool and done
Hmm.
things in relation to that trauma to help that community,
Yes.
people who are experiencing the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So that I don't know why you mentioning that you have a native background triggered all of that,
I love it.
but
You're just talking. No, I love it. It's so true.
but
It's so
but
true.
yes, like like I think that everyone who has connection to any and everything, you have some sense of your own history. I'm
Yes.
sure that if you look back in your bloodline, in your family, you will find that there was a woman who endured in order to kind
Yes.
of really trailblaze a path for your
Hmm.
family and you to just go forward and be
Yes.
great. So yeah, I love being a woman. I love
Yes.
how complex our history is here in this country
Very.
and the world 8 times over.
Hmm.
So I like learning all the
Me
different things that
too.
we're capable of and that we can do.
Yes. Oh,
Sprinkles.
I do. I do have my native necklace on. I have quite a few. These are elk teeth, actually. I received this at a powwow. But yeah, I'm very proud to be multi-ethnic, and sometimes people do challenge that. And what I mean by that is people want you to pick an ethnicity or an
Uh,
identity. And I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm proud to be all three things. I draw strength from all three things, and I'm very proud of all my ethnicities. Again, my family's from the Creek Nation. We are the third largest Native nation in the U.S. That's our claim to fame. And we are part of the five civilized tribes. And when you're talking about strong women, that's my grandmother. And what I mean by that is just being a woman that thought about the community, that collective mindset. I think we all have as people of color to begin with. We just think of everyone in the village or the town. She brought my mother up to volunteer, to think of other people, to be a port in the storm. So I can't take any credit for my volunteerism. or my aptitude to want to help people or being empathic, because that's just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And when I have children, it would be the same way. You need to think about other people. Yes, things can be difficult in life and you can have a plight, but you can help. And sometimes it doesn't have to be monetarily, it can be with your time and your energy. An organization that I also volunteer for, and I have since the pandemic, so for 4 years now, is Door to Door. And so that's when you go grocery shopping for seniors that are homebound or people with disabilities.
Okay.
Most people are low income and they're buying their food through EBT or SNAP. And so we're literally going grocery shopping for people that cannot go grocery shopping for themselves. And I did that all throughout the pandemic. And that's something that was really important to me. I take my shopping very seriously. So the person's vetted, they are a part of the nonprofit, and you get a list of their needs of for shopping. And as someone that's dyslexic, it is very difficult. I have to make sure I go line by line. I'm like, okay, they want how many liters of pop? They want how many of this? And sometimes it's like it's like a scavenger hunt, because they'll just say like a pound of ground beef. And I'm like, do you mean fresh? Do you mean frozen? Did you mean hamburgers?
Yeah. Do you want like 97 lean, like 97% lean? What
Exactly.
are you doing?
Or they'll just put milk. And so you can actually call them and ask them like what do they mean by that. But I remember, because I did this during the pandemic, it was so heartbreaking to like call them and say, I'm sorry, but they don't have any toilet paper, or they don't have any of the necessities that were so infrequent during that time. But that's something that's really important to me, and I take it so seriously. My clients, the ones that I volunteer for, they get the best boxes. No boxes are dented or canned. They get the best produce. I take it seriously as if I'm shopping for my grandma or my grandfather, or for someone that I care about. And a lot of the folks do suffer from like arthritis. So even when we get like ice cream or anything that requires a bag, we don't tie it, because they have a really difficult time untying it. So just things of that nature, and just being, again, aware of your guest or your clientele that you're working with. But stuff like that's important, and anyone can do it. Anyone that has the ability to walk around and do that. And so that's something that's important to me. So I want people to pick their passion or something that they're interested in and go and volunteer. It doesn't always have to be a monetary thing. You can volunteer your time. And for nonprofits, that's just as important. They don't have enough people power, without volunteers. And so it's something that people should actually look into.
Well, it's something you could do. It's as simple as, you know, following their social media and sharing their
Yes,
social media,
this is true.
because your someone within your reach may see it, and they may be able
Mm,
to provide exactly what that organization
this
needs.
is true.
I've partnered here in Washington with Mary's Place, which provides transitional housing for women and children who are escaping less than savory situations.
Oh, wow.
And one thing that I did and was doing through my workplace
Mhm.
was we were hosting the kids, because it was in
Aw.
the city, in the heart of the city. We were hosting the kids to come through every year and trick or treat through our building.
Wow.
So they live in the city, so a lot of them have never trick or treated before. Um, and it's
Aww.
just an opportunity to provide a little bit of light when people are in a
Mm-hmm.
trying situation. We
Mm-hmm.
also partnered with them a second time throughout the year, and we would do a giving tree. So our residents could come down, get a tag off the tree, buy the gift
Mm-hmm.
that the child wrote, bring it back,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would deliver it to Mary's Place. Um,
Aww.
so that's something that I loved putting on when I
Mm-hmm.
worked in the city. This will be my first year not doing it in a while,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in the boutique now.
Yeah,
But
you're busy.
I'm doing the best I can. But I'm sure I'll
Mm-hmm.
find something creative to do
I know you
here.
will.
So I think for me, growing up in the South, it's very similar. Like my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother definitely had a heart for service, and went
Mm-hmm.
above and beyond to make sure that everyone within her reach, was clothed, was
Yep.
clean, ate
Yep.
well, and ate
Yep.
well. Okay. Like ate good at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just growing up and seeing that, and because it was such a positive experience for me, it's definitely something that I've wanted to, a service I wanted to provide, and I never want to overlook my own community.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to limit myself to just my community because there are other people
Mm-hmm.
out there in need as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
get out there, folks. Go
Yes.
volunteer. And you can
Yes.
volunteer for things that pique your interest. It doesn't always have
Exactly.
to be, you know, relative, like something so dire like
Exactly.
housing or the food
Mm-hmm.
crisis. You could
Mm-hmm.
volunteer to be a basketball coach,
Exactly.
or if you perform any kind of art, or you
Mm-hmm.
paint or draw, you can
Yep.
be an art coach or teacher.
Yes. Yes.
If you're multilingual, you can be a language teacher. If you have
Yes.
amazing ancestry or cultural ties, you can be a historian for that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Find
Mm-hmm.
something that you like to do and that you're willing to do for
Yes.
free or little pay, just kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
solitude of doing a good thing, and do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I
So,
totally agree. And women like our grandmothers, they don't exist anymore. Very few and far between. I kind of hate to say that, but they would just paint people with love.
yeah,
They just make women like that anymore, where it's like there was just more accountability back then. Every child was everyone's child. You were only
yeah,
doing as good as your neighbor or the person in that village. And I think we need to bring some of that traditional values about caring about other people. Everyone's like, and I think a lot has to do with social media. Everyone's like in their own little silos and they don't want to go outside of that. You can be strong enough and powerful enough to care about other people and you know, extend yourself to help your fellow man. And again, you could post things. There's all kind of volunteer activities, all kind of nonprofit organizations. You don't have to do it every day. You can do it once a month. But I one of the times I'm genuinely happy is when I'm volunteering. Like, how can you feel bad when you're helping someone else? And it
I
really puts
love
things
it.
in perspective for how blessed I am.
It's definitely fulfilling, and I think that a, a lot of the kind of icky feelings that you feel in the world comes
Mm-hmm.
from a lot of people not feeling fulfilled.
Yes.
Whether it's at home or in your career or whatever the case is,
Mm-hmm.
in doing something kind for someone else. It again, guys, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. You can
Mm.
start. I've done the pay it forward thing. Been in the line to get my hot chocolate because I don't drink coffee.
Oh,
Um, and paid for the person behind
mm,
me. I've done
that's
that
sweet.
multiple times just
Mm.
because it's one little act of kindness
It's,
that could turn somebody's whole month around.
yes.
And it
Yes.
doesn't, like you were saying, it doesn't have to be monetary or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. But yeah, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful to have been raised by
Mm-hmm.
somebody who just effortlessly was able to go
Yes.
out of their way to make ways for other people, and I'm
Yes.
glad that I'm able to carry that with me.
Yes.
Now we are very comfortable talking to each other because we go deep
Yes.
like that. But I'm going to ask you
Yes.
two things.
Okay.
First, how and where can everyone find your pageant journey? How can they follow and support you?
Thank you very much. So my name is pretty unique, and so you're able to find me on Facebook as well as Instagram. So my name is displayed there. It's Marneet. It's Marneet, and my last name is Lewis, Lewis. I do have a public Facebook, and so you're able to see all my appearances and what's going on in my life there, as well as my Instagram. So that's one way to get a hold of me. And I want everyone that is looking for an inclusive, family oriented, positive pageant experience to look into Miss Culture Galaxy and Miss American Nations. All you have to do is type in one of those titles in Google and it will take you to our website. And one of our amazing staff will reach out to you with any questions or details that you may have. But I can honestly say it is just such a different system and I feel at home. I do want to say they did have that pizza and pajama party and it just fostered community. it just was a time before the pageants where we all can just relax and get to know each other. And that's when I was able to talk to the delegates more and the teams, the junior teams. And it was just almost just like being at home. All that
Yes.
competitiveness, there might have been a hint of that, but not like at other pageants. It was just more like down home, comfortable, come as you are. You know, and that's the other thing about pageantry we talked about a little bit. I love the synergy of meeting the other delegates because you touched on this. Their platforms. What are they
Mhm.
doing? These women, these girls are doing amazing things in the world. One of my pageant sisters, she created a nonprofit, or is moving towards being a nonprofit, where she collects sanitary pads and she sends them to different places in Africa. And so I already donated some to her. There's women that are out just out there doing amazing things. And I love going to pageants and asking about their platform. They ask me, and you even kind of did this during your pep talk at Oregon USA. These are your business partners. These are like
Yeah.
your allies. These are your friends. Like, how can I help your nonprofit? What can I do? Did you know about this? Do you know about that connection? So just being around such positive, driven, beautiful, talented women, it really just does something for my soul. And again, if you're looking for a wonderful pageant system, look into Miss Culture Galaxy and Miss American Nations. And we will be in Connecticut this summer. I hope to see everyone there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I absolutely love this pageant. It is an accountable pageant. It is positive pageantry. All different women of walks of life, different ages, body sizes, cultures, everything. We have it all. This pageant has it all. Contact us, contact the director, Miss Debbie Jones, and we'll get you connected. And I can't wait to talk to everyone about my pageant and my title.
Yes, you guys make sure you follow Miss Marneet's journey. You guys, like, it's that simple. Just follow the page. That's a non-monetary way to show
Thank
your
you.
support. And it goes a long way. You
Mhm.
may not want to compete, but you might know someone who fits what
Exactly.
this pageant needs. So
Mm-hmm.
do that. One thing that I wanted to touch on, and oh,
Mm-hmm.
my old age is kicking in. I lost it. I lost it just that quick. While I'm thinking about it, why don't you tell
Yes.
the audience what you do? Because I ask everybody
Mm-hmm.
that visits, what
Yes.
do you do to tap into your big goddess energy?
Yes, well, I'm a faith-based person, and so I love listening to like self-development in terms of like audiobooks and reading articles and podcasts and listening to sermons and just kind of refilling my cup. I think as women, sometimes we just are constantly helping people and we don't replenish ourselves. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not able to help anyone else. And especially in my line of work, I'm constantly taking care of other people, and so, making sure I eat good food, working out, making sure I'm good spiritually is very important to me. Again, I'm a faith based person. And so, just those are some of my hobbies and things that I like to do to nourish myself and my soul.
I love that. I'm a journal girly, so
Oh,
oh yes, I write it down, honey. Write it down and give it to the
oh, that's
Lord and turn the
therapeutic.
page. I'm done.
Oh, I love that. That's so therapeutic.
Oh, it's so good for me. Like I'm a Libra. Um
Pisces gang,
so
Pisces gang.
yeah, hey now, come on now. You're in tune with your emotions.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I'm such a crybaby.
oh my God. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Okay, I talked about this on a different podcast, so
Mhm.
y'all just bear with me. I'm a Libra sun, a
Okay.
Virgo moon, and
Oh,
an
interesting.
Aquarius rising.
Oh.
Do with that information what you will. I'm a little wound up, okay?
Oh, you're so funny.
Oh, it's so funny. But thank you, Marnie. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for listening. You
Thank
guys, this has been
you.
another episode of the Plus in Pageantry on the BGE Cloud. Do all the things that you're supposed to do on platforms like this: like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to follow our guest, Marneet, on her pageant journey and her journey through life, y'all. So thanks
Oh,
again,
thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank
Love
you. Thank you.
you.
Happy early birthday. Thank you. You're the
Thank
best.
you.
Can't wait to
Bye.
visit your Empress shop.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.